Hi there, I'm Vincent Bos, and I'm a life coach, relationship coach, and breakup coach. You can change the language of this podcast in the YouTube video settings. And in today's podcast, we're going to be discussing the danger of dating in cuffing season. I provide audio coaching for breakup recovery, trying to get an ex back, attracting someone new, and life coaching. Visit www.dateme.tips for more details. Please check your spam and junk folders if you are expecting an email from me. Subscribe to my weekly support emails. The link is in the description. So now let's get back into today's podcast, and today we are discussing the danger of dating in cuffing season. So if you're considering dating, then you need to be aware of all potential pitfalls. In today's podcast, I'm discussing 3 dangers of dating in cuffing season. So let's get straight into this, and point number 1 is confusing comfort for connection. Now let me know in the comments if you have even heard of cuffing season. Let me know in the comments and let's see what the community thinks. And as I said, point number 1 today is confusing comfort for connection. So cuffing season is during the colder times of year. Now in the Northern Hemisphere, it also includes the holiday season, which when combined creates a powerful pull of wanting to feel closeness and, in essence, couple up. That is cuffing season in a nutshell. And there lies the first danger of dating in cuffing season, confusing comfort for connection. Because when we desire that closeness, when we desire that comfort during what most of the world would see as the colder time of year, where the nights draw in earlier and earlier, there's just that feeling of wanting to have that closeness. And when we do combine it, as cuffing season does combine in the Northern Hemisphere with the holiday season, whether it is Thanksgiving, whether it is Christmas, whether it is New Year's Eve in particular, well, this is a situation which can create a powerful pull. And there lies a big trap, because you might be desiring that comfort, you might be desiring that coupling up, but is it really connection? Is it really something which is going to get you through forevermore? Now, this is a situation where you or the person you're dating might not necessarily even know exactly what's going off in your mindset. Maybe perhaps you realise full well that it's cuffing season. Maybe you are quite happy with the thought of having a short-term relationship, because in your mind you're thinking, as soon as we get into the new year, I'm not really going to be feeling that desire. I just want someone to come with me to the holiday season parties. I just want someone to spend that time together when there's very little else to do, because the nights are drawing in so early. But once we get into the new year, and yes, of course, January, February in the Northern Hemisphere are bleak, if not even bleaker, than just before the turn of the year. But once we start to move into spring, this is where life literally starts to wake up. Whether it is the metaphor that we consider it to be, or whether we look at it in a literal sense, however, there is generally more things to do, certainly more sunlight hours to do them in. And that is where a lot of people want to go off and live their life in a different way. Now, maybe you, or maybe this person you are dating, maybe you understand all of this, and this is exactly what you are looking for and happy with, but perhaps not. There are lots of people who fall into the cuffing season trap without even recognizing that that is exactly what it is. They are confusing those warm, fuzzy feelings and a desire for comfort, but confusing that for actual compatibility. Do you have compatibility to get you through to the long term? Because if you are not looking for a short-term relationship, there is a real danger that you might end up having one. For instance, do your deal breaker life goals align? Now, a deal breaker life goal is a life goal that if it is not met, it is a deal breaker for you or your partner. And this means it doesn't matter how physically, mentally, spiritually attracted you are to one another. If these deal breaker life goals are not aligned, sadly, this relationship will not work. And hence, cuffing season will often ignore those big elephants in the room. So, for instance, one deal breaker life goal might be that you or the person you're dating wants to have a baby one day, and yet the other person thinks the exact opposite. Maybe you want a baby and they don't, or vice versa. It doesn't matter how physically attracted you are. It doesn't matter if you or they make each other laugh all day long. It doesn't matter anything to do with those types of things. If you don't have that life goal aligned, you're going to really struggle to last the test of time. Because one of you, certainly at least one of you, is going to be feeling as if you're not living the life that you wanted to. If you feel you're being pressured to have a baby or pressured to not have a baby. And this can often boil over emotionally later down the line. Now, it's not just about having a baby. A deal breaker life goal might be whether or not you share the same passion and desire for politics or religion. It doesn't mean that you need to follow the same politics or the same faith, but it certainly means you at least need to be comfortable with your partner possibly not feeling the same as you. If politics or religion are really, really important to you, and you find out that the person you're dating does not share those same views, then you're going to struggle once more. Again, it's a deal breaker life goal. There are plenty of others. Another example that might be something which really falls into your situation could be maybe one of you wants to do traveling, the other person wants to stay at home in your local village. As you can see, one of you is likely to be very unhappy, and therefore it's not likely to last forever. And this is where cuffing season can cause confusion, because that desire for closeness, that desire to couple up, because the darkness is in the air, because the holiday season is in full swing, because in essence you just don't really want to be alone during this time, that can cloud your judgment and confuse whether you have compatibility or is it actually just comfort. So now let's get into point number 2 and the second point of today's podcast. Please like and hype this video. If you like my content, subscribe to the channel to keep updated. And point number 2 is communication is often poor. Now, when we're looking at the dangers of cuffing season, as I've already referenced, this might be a situation that you know full well, whether or not you are looking for something short-term or long-term, or whether or not this could actually be the case. Or it could be a scenario where you have no idea what's going on in your mindset, let alone their mindset. But when we consider the fact as well that communication is often poor during cuffing season, it really highlights how many problems there can be. So what this represents in this regard is that people might not want to even consider rocking the boat by asking the questions that they normally would, due to the fact they don't want to, quote unquote, ruin things before Christmas. They don't want to cause problems, and so they tiptoe around situations which at other times of the year, they'd be more likely to actually try and find out what the other person is thinking. Now, I'm not suggesting that you quiz your new partner. I'm not suggesting that you become a quiz master for someone you are dating, because that can be really, really off-putting. But natural, honest, free-flowing communication is vital. The most successful relationships have great communication, and the worst relationships often didn't. So if you want to get off on the right foot, having good communication is really, really important. And yet, a cuffing season danger is that people almost deliberately don't want to take a risk in finding out those most important details about their new date, about their new partner, because they almost don't want to know, or they almost don't want to say something which might mean they no longer have a New Year's Eve date. These are the things which provide the dangers and those pitfalls for people dating for the first time in and around the cuffing season. So again, what we're talking about in regards of the Northern Hemisphere, I would suggest are October, November and December. Yes, it gets bleak, even bleaker perhaps, in January, February, but I think traditional cuffing season that we look at is about October, November, December in the Northern Hemisphere. So if you are in a situation where you know deep down that this person you're dating is not actually going to align with you on a number of things, but you think, I'm just going to keep my mouth shut because I want to make sure that I have places to go and things to do with people during this time where everybody seems to be coupling up and going out places together and attending events. If you want to make sure that happens, and hence you are deliberately not finding out about one another or deliberately avoiding those difficult questions, then you've got to be saying to yourself, the odds are this relationship is not going to last. And at least you can prepare yourself on your side of the equation. I would suggest that honesty is the best policy. You need to be making sure that your partner, however long you've been dating, does understand your mindset on certain things. I certainly don't suggest that you lie just to try and keep something going for a little bit longer. Yes, you don't want the relationship to end so soon, but make sure it's for the right reason. If you genuinely believe you can work through these situations and problems, that's fine, that's great. But if you are almost deceiving your new date just so you can extend a connection, a dating period, a relationship, that isn't fair on them. It's also not really fair on you. It's just a great big waste of time. So now let's get into point number 3 and the final point of today's podcast. If you feel that this podcast has helped you, then please consider buying me a coffee. The link to do so is in the description. And point number 3 is you only know your side of the equation. Now, if you feel that this podcast could help others, please share it in dating communities, groups and servers. Let's help as many people as possible. And as I've just said, but point number 3 is that you only know your side of the equation. So everything that we've been speaking about today is, of course, from what you know and you understand. But what about the person you're dating? You certainly won't know them as well as you could due to the fact that people dating in cuffing season often don't communicate well. Now, of course, this doesn't mean that everybody falls into this bracket. It doesn't mean that everybody who gets together in October, November, December won't last forevermore. Of course, it is not as black and white as that, but certainly cuffing season provides more pitfalls, I would suggest, than at other times of year. So you know what you think, but you probably don't know what they think. And hence, you need to be the best person you can be, the fairest, most understanding, and ultimately the best partner that you can be. And you, therefore, need to be open enough to try and have conversations if they want to start them. And even if they don't, it could be a situation where you need to take the lead. Because the longer something goes on that is not right, it's not going to be helping either of you. And since you can only sort out your side of the equation, we can't count on the fact that they're going to be as open-minded about what you are hopefully now learning from this podcast. So if you are dating during this time, if you are starting to feel those wondering feelings about whether or not you're really that compatible and whether this is a situation that you even want to proceed, I mean, do you really want to take this new person to meet your friends and family at the events or the things that you might be going to from a family perspective perhaps over the holiday season? Do you really want to be taking this new person as your plus one if you don't really think it's going to last much longer? And do you think this person you're dating should be doing the same with you? Should you really be going to meet their friends and family if you know deep down it's just for comfort? This is something that you might need to take the lead on if they don't seem to be doing so. Because finding out the truth is really, really important. Now, I just wanted to say at this stage, I am a very open-minded person. I certainly don't judge anybody, and I believe that two consenting adults can have any type of connection that they both decide they want to have. So if you do decide with one another that you want a short-term fling, that is absolutely fine. But you both need to be on the same page. And I think that's the point here. If you want long-term relationship and they want something short-term, you are going to get hurt, and potentially vice versa. So make sure that you have that conversation. Make sure that you pick up on things. Make sure that you don't just go with the flow because you want to date on New Year's Eve night. Make sure you both want the same thing. And if you do, then whatever cuffing season means to you both, well, that is absolutely fine.